Good morning, children. Today in Social Science in Civics, in class 9, we continue democratic rights. Today we take up right to constitutional remedies. We are aware that we have fundamental rights which are also there included in the Constitution. We have the right to equality, we have right to freedom, then we have a right to freedom of religion, then we have right against exploitation, we have cultural and educational rights. But it is also important to understand that they are enforceable. If rights are like guarantees, they are of no use if there is no one to honor them. So we have a right to seek the enforcement of these rights that we just talked of, and this is what we call as the right to constitutional remedies. Fundamental rights are guaranteed against the actions of the legislature, the executive, and any other authorities of the government. There can be no law or action that violates the fundamental rights. If there is so, then one can go to the court, and one can go to the High Court, one can go to the Supreme Court for its enforcement. So we see that the right to constitutional remedies, now the fundamental rights in the Constitution are important because they are enforceable. Because there is nobody can be denied the fundamental rights. We have a right to seek the enforcement of these rights, and that is the reason why it is called as the right to constitutional remedies. That means if there is any form of violation, if there is any kind of violation of anybody's fundamental rights, one may go to the court. This right makes other rights effective. When any of the other fundamental rights are violated, that is right to equality, it could be right to freedom, it could be a freedom of religion, right against exploitation, cultural and educational rights. So a person or citizens, they can approach the Supreme Court or the High Courts. Both courts have the power to issue directions, orders or writs for the enforcement of the fundamental rights. That means that the court ensures that the fundamental rights are enjoyed by the people. Now, writ is actually a formal document which contains an order of the court to the government. It is only by the High Court or the Supreme Court that can be given. So we see that this right makes all other fundamental rights effective. Now, they can also award compensation to the victims and punishment to the violators. That means if there has been any form of violation of the fundamental right of citizen or citizens, the court may announce a compensation that is given to the person, the affected person, and punishment to the person, to the violators, that means who has denied the fundamental rights. Now, we are also aware that judiciary is independent of the government and parliament. That is why it is powerful. So, we earlier discussed about judiciary, that it is independent, it is not under the influence of the government or the parliament. It is powerful and can do what is needed, whatever is required to protect the rights of the citizens. So, the judiciary is there to see that there is justice, that the fundamental rights which have been granted and guaranteed to the citizens, that they are able to enjoy. In case it does not happen, then the court is there to protect the rights of the citizens. In case of any violation of a fundamental right, the aggrieved person can go to a court. He can go to either the Supreme Court or the High Court for remedy, so that the justice is provided to him or to her. If it is of social interest or public interest and the fundamental right is violated, then any person can again go to the court against the violation of the fundamental rights. It is called as public interest litigation. We talked about this public interest litigation when a matter is concerning public interest. It can be a public interest litigation could be there. Dr. Ambedkar has actually called the right to constitutional remedies as the heart and soul of our constitution. Why? Because it is enforcing the other rights. So it is important that, so we see that fundamental rights are enjoyed by everybody. We can challenge if there is any denial of the fundamental right. It could be the center, could be the state government, or policies and actions of the government or government organizations. So the courts enforce the fundamental rights against private individuals and bodies. So we see that the Supreme Court and High Courts have the power to issue directions, orders, or writs for the enforcement of the fundamental rights. And if needed, compensation will have to be paid to the victim, to the person who was denied the fundamental right. So we see that judiciary is independent and powerful, and it is there to protect the rights of the citizens. Thank you.